Greetings, everyone. Pete Pardo here from Sea Tranquility. Welcome to another edition of Classic Album War. Today we've got two tremendously popular, mega-selling albums. One released in 1980, one released in 1981. They kind of kicked off the decade with a bang. Both of these sold excessive amounts of albums. One of them well over 20 million copies worldwide. The other over 5, I believe it is, but both, even though there's a big difference in the amount of sales, both ridiculously popular albums that included songs that will forever be, considered amongst their best, played live on compilations, all that sort of thing. So let's kind of get right to the two combatants here, right? All right, so the introductions, please. The first, acdc, Back in Black. The Australian Legends, okay, released in 1980. This one came fairly soon after the death of their iconic singer Bon Scott. Okay, less than a year later, we've got this beast of an album, Brian Johnson in on vocals. Kind of an unknown singer from a band named Gordy. We're kind of like a pub band, and all of a sudden he's thrust into the limelight in a big way here. Like I said, this album sold well over 20 million copies worldwide. A lot of perennial hits on here, produced by Robert John Mutt Lang. All right, it's an expertly produced album. I mean, this is, you pop this album is so powerful. The production is so spectacular, and the songs are great. The playing is great. Everything's, this almost perfect album, right? So what do you got? You got Hell's Bells kicking it off, a great tune, one of their better tunes. Shoot to Thrill, one of my personal favorites on the album, a great song, energetic. What Do You Do for Money, Honey? Another cool rocker. Giving the Dog a Bone, tons of groove in that song. Let Me Put My Love Into You. All right, the iconic title track, Back in Black, pretty damn heavy, one of their heaviest tunes. You Shook Me All Night Long, a perennial favorite, a big hit for the band, a song I never, ever need to hear again because, since this album came out, you hear it at bars, you hear it on the radio, you hear it at weddings, sporting events, whatever, right? Everywhere. But people dig it. Have a Drink on Me, possibly an ode to their fallen comrade Bon Scott. Shake a Leg, another good up-tempo rock tune, and Rock and Roll Ain't Noise Pollution to kind of end it all. Top to bottom, really strong. All right, both of these albums we're going to talk about today. If you're about my age, right, we kind of grew up with these albums, got both of these when they came out. So I don't listen to either one of these albums too much anymore because I've heard them to death, but they're still great and I still love them both. And next up, we've got Moving Pictures by Rush. Okay, some of you might be saying, but these bands are so different from each other and, they don't sound anything alike. Well, they're not meant to, not every band sounds alike. And it always can't be a perfect combination, but these two were chosen because they were such huge hits in the kind of heavy music, heavy rock genre, right almost around the same time. Mega sellers, perennial favorites. That's why they're chosen today. So what do we got on Moving Pictures? So we've got kicking it off another tune that I probably never need to hear again, Tom Sawyer, but there's no denying the lasting power of Tom Sawyer. I mean, just people still to this day love that track. And you get, I see young people, half my age and who are like discovering Tom Sawyer for the first time. So that's pretty cool, right? Red Barchetta, a great tune. The melodic nature of a lot of the songs on here is just tremendous. The arrangements are so good. The fact that these three guys could make such this giant wall of sound, amazing. YYZ, perhaps the first progressive metal instrumental? Could be, right? Pretty damn good, pretty complicated and heavy at the same time. Limelight, a lot of hooks in that. Okay, it was a big radio favorite. Band always played it live. A killer solo from Mr. Alex Lifeson, great tune. The Camera Eye, okay, the probably the most proggiest track on the album. And I remember when I first started listening, when I first got this album, I was heavily into it. It's one of the tunes I listened to the least. Now, as I've gotten older, and because at the time I was a big hard rock and metal head, and that's what I gravitated towards, the heavier tunes. Now, all these years later, as I've gotten more and more into progressive rock over the last 20, 30 years, I really appreciate the Camera Eye for what it is. It's a really good little mini epic on here. Then you got Witch Hunt, my favorite tune off this album. Dark, foreboding, heavy, the unsung hero of this album. And then Vital Signs, okay, which is kind of like this weird little kind of poppy reggae proggy ditty that kind of ends the album, but in a really cool way. And another one of those songs that maybe I didn't appreciate as much when I was younger, but now it's like, Vital Signs, really good tune. Really different from the band, but it shows you like the depths of their songwriting talents, right? They could put together a tune like that, which is so different from anything else they've ever done. And Terry Brown produced this one as well. So 2 great sounding albums with a lot of great tracks. 2 albums that probably for many of us, like I said, we know really, really well. Maybe a little too well, right? So, when I reach for either, the AC/DC catalog or Rush, I very rarely pick these 2 albums anymore because I've heard them a million times. But they're both great, and I have very fond attachments and feelings for both of them. So which one do I choose? Which one do I like more? Well, this is obviously the heavier album, the more anthemic album. But ultimately, I find this one a little more interesting. And I think what it comes down to, as much as I love AC/DC, and I just like Rush better as a band, and I always have. And I probably generally will pick, in most cases, a Rush album over an AC/DC album. In most cases. Maybe the later stuff would differ a little bit. But I just think comparing the 2 and my feelings for the both of them, I love this album, always have, but I just love this one a little bit more. So Moving Pictures is going to get the nod for me in a close but unanimous decision. 116, 112, 116, 113, 115, 114. Moving Pictures gets the unanimous decision win, but it's not to knock AC/DC because, both of these pretty much are perfect albums. But as huge as they were, for many, probably pretty overplayed. So I know on the Facebook page, I thought this would be a really close poll on the Facebook page. Actually, Rush is winning by double at this point. And, we're only a couple hours into it, so that could change. I thought it was going to be a lot closer. So I think that if, we were to talk about different albums, so if maybe I was to pick one of the earlier AC/DC albums and one of the earlier Rush albums, or maybe even one a little bit later, it might be a little different story. So it's just interesting to see kind of how the poll continues to go, and we want to hear your comments below. So let us know, do you favor Rush, Moving Pictures, or do you favor AC/DC Back in Black? Be interesting to see what you think. And while you're doing that, visit us on the web at www.seatranquility.org. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter. Of course, we're here on the mighty YouTube often, every day, in fact. So tune in tomorrow morning for another classic album war. We're hoping to have Mr. Jeff Young, ex-Megadeth lead guitar player and solo artist, guesting on one of these classic album wars. Hopefully later this week. He and I have got a good one that we're talking about doing, so you won't want to miss that. But till then, stay tuned, and we'll see you real soon. Bye-bye.